More than Altdorf, more than Karzakarak, Hexadol, or the celestial city of Wei Jin, more than pretty much anywhere else on the planet, with the exception of the Great Vortex on the Isle of the Dead, Athel Loren is coveted by demons. In Adria Ternos, and the magical forest which at birth, could play host to a demonic homecoming party for the ages if they could just deal with those pesky elves and forest spirits. Of course, ripping the heart out of the wildwood and corrupting the Oak of Ages so that it could be used as a massive portal to the ether would be like dropping a Blackstone fortress on Cadia. It's doable, it just might take 10,000 years of blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. This will be one of those attempts. Continuing our land battle series, the Spellweavers of Athel Loren have rallied to their homeland's defense with the blessings of Loek, Rework Tempest, and Apotheosis. The Eagles are coming. Penumbral Pendulum provides some AP damage in support, and in the rear, 4 Glade Guard, 2 Starfire Shafts, 2 Hagbane Tips, and Wildwood Rangers protecting each flank. Host of Swarming Dryads in the vanguard, and hidden in the trees for now, 2 units of Great Stag Knights, which have also been reworked in Loopy's Battle Balance mod, and I must say I really like the changes. They are true monstrous cavalry now. Model count cut in half to 16, weapon skill increased to compensate for the drop, and 23 bonus versus large added. So not fully an anti-armor generalist anymore, more specialized for taking down monsters and elite armored cavalry, but of course with 80 charge bonus they will still wallop foot troops with a good charge. Innate magic attacks will naturally make them very strong versus demons. For the invasion force, just a probing expeditionary force before the main assault, all 4 gods are represented here. Blue Horrors of Tzeentch in the front, 3 Plague Bearers of Nurgle, Bloodletters and Demonettes of Slaanesh on the flanks, Fleshhounds in the rear, and on the left flank of this demonic host, the Blood Crushers of Khorne, led by a Herald of Slaanesh. The Heralds of Khorne's Fury have one of the ugliest models in all of Immortal Empires. I'm not sure how they made it past QA, but their heads and bodies are literally different colors. Fantastic stats though, and both their Gilded Juggernauts and those of their lesser compatriots are bred to rickety wreck Wood Elves infantry, but are themselves hard countered by Great Stags and their magical spears. The Herald on her steed has Locus of Grace, Locus of Swiftness, the Portal Glyph Fury Summon, Lash of Slaanesh, Acquiescence, and Pavane of Slaanesh. Pavane causes enemies to rampage, so combine that with Narcissism, which may appear in a demonic army's abilities to root enemies in place. They have some potential tools to prevent stags from disengaging, and it may even the playing field somewhat. Also have some Screamers of Tzeentch on the left flank, also a good tool for pitting monstrous cavalry in place. But make no mistake, in a straight up fight, Blood Crushers have no hope against Great Stag Knights. Maybe the Heralds of Khorne's Fury would do okay because their stats are so much better. 9 more melee attack, 9 more melee defense, and of course that fire weakness is a really nice addition in the right situation. I don't think it'll come into play here at all, but beating monstrous cavalry like the Azrai are fielding in a straight fight will be difficult for the demons. Great Stags will look to exploit that with some early aggression. The one unit you will never see the DOC leave home without are the Fleshhounds of Khorne. What an incredible boon they are for the armies of chaos. They give all enemy cavalry and skirmishers and infantry pause. Them some angry pumpers, and just a single unit of them can zone out elite mounted knights like we're gonna see here. Great Stag Knights do not want to get bogged down in a fight with Fleshhounds. They'd win that fight, but it would hurt them, and it probably would not be a worthy trade. Now this is interesting over here. Great Stag Knights with Loek's Blessing up to 113 speed and a downhill charge, momentum carrying them deep into the Daemons of Chaos formation. They're going right after the Heralds of Khorne's Fury, who are going to try to counter with Locus of Grace, but that additional physical resistance will not help them against the magical attacks of the demons. And as the Great Eagles swoop in from the flank, Portal Glyph will summon Furies in behind the Great Stag Knights, and we've got a big monstrous cav fight brewing right at the start of this battle. This is maybe a little bit overzealous of the Wood Elves, but perhaps not quite as bad as it seems, because much of these Slaaneshi buffs won't make an impact here, and the Great Eagles are a big-time pain for the Herald. Perhaps a bit sloppy on the Chaos side. Furies should have rear charged immediately, and the Screamers did not maneuver for a perfect rear charge either. That may not be the worst thing for them now that the Wildwood Rangers are charging in from behind to reinforce. Pendulum from the flank, Pavane of Slaanesh rampage the remnants of those Great Stag Knights, and it looks like they're going to be cut to pieces and shattered. But the Heralds and the Herald both took a lot of damage in that fight too. And take a look at these Wildwood Rangers. I don't know what color scheme this is, but I think it's Werdrioth, the Pine Crags. But yeah, it straight up looked like a Mortal Kombat character, like a Lomi, Mossy, Sub-Zero, or Scorpion. We'll call them Woody Two Shoes, the new rivals of the Lin Kuei and Shirai Ryu. They are going to force the demons back on their left flank, while in the center, blue horrors fire over the top of the Plague Bears of Nurgle. Demonic cavalry moving into the rear. They're going to reposition and get away from those Great Eagles, who are well supported by armor-piercing infantry now. They want no part of that, and they're going to link up with the Fleshhounds of Khorne to perhaps try and cut the head off these other units of Great Stag Knights. Daemons of Chaos going on a little bit of a flanking mission, and the Blood Crushers and Heralds of Khorne's Fury looking like they might shoot the gap right up the center, and oh dear, catch out those Great Stags with a Daemonette of Chaos downhill charge and a Narcissism, which will net them in place. And remember, Great Stag Knights are very much still a glass cannon type unit. They are not particularly survivable, they do not have a lot of armor, and even though their model count has been cut in half, which means each has essentially double the HP pool they used to, this kind of scenario is usually not going to go very well for them if they don't get a clean charge bonus off. With that said, though, as a Lash of Slanesh rains down in the back line, this is still a very risky play for the demons, because the Wood Elves have all kinds of archers lined up to poison, slow, and slice through the armor of these Blood Crushers, and that is exactly what is going to happen as these Plague Bears of Nurgle deal with the Dryads in the front. A worthy attack, no question, but one that will ultimately see the elite juggernauts crumble out as well. So perhaps not the earth-shattering showing we would have liked to have seen from the Great Stag Knights, but a lot has been invested in taking them down, and at least in the case of the first unit of Great Stag Knights, they gave about as good as they got in the small portion of time they were allotted. They paid for themselves in about 15 seconds against those Blood Crushers. Still though, the mobility advantage will now reside on the Demons of Chaos side, and that is dangerous if you're the Wood Elves, because they have a bunch of Glade Guard that no longer have any protectors in their back line. But the Great Eagles are coming to reinforce, as we see the Heralds of Khorne's Fury crumbling out now. Fleshhounds are pushing through, and there's a nice new visual effect also for the lore of high magic. The Shield of Sapphire, kind of reminiscent of Teclis and the Warhammer 2 announcement cinematic. That cool visual blur effect, and the shield up front activates every time the Spellweaver casts her spells. The Coordinate Mobility is trying to get away from these Great Eagles and get through the infantry to deal with those Starfire Shafts and Glade Guard Hagbane tips in the rear. But Loic's Blessing will give them 25% speed and unspottable, so perhaps the back unit will be able to escape, because I think they will be invisible unless they're right up next to whatever target is chasing them. In the creek bed, a battle of Zweihanders, great weapons, the Bloodletters and Wildwood Rangers, slicing each other to pieces. I think the Bloodletters might have a slight advantage there. They do have innate 9 bonus versus infantry, but then again, there's casting on the Wood Elf side, and that 10% ward save will help a lot every time a Tempest or an Apotheosis is forthcoming. The Wildwood Rangers have better stats, but the Bloodletters have that bonus versus infantry, so be curious to see how that one shakes out. Blood Crushers, the remnants of them are pushing to deal with these archers. The Great Eagles are going after the Herald of Slanesh, and she is slowed by a Tempest, which will also affect the Juggernauts as they attempt to murder these archers. Really nice slow there. Really nice cast. It's going to hurt the Herald of Slanesh a lot and perhaps make it easier to goon her out. And I think if the Demons of Chaos lose their Lord here, it might just be game, set, match. Balance bar is heavily in favor of the Azrai for the moment. And these Great Eagles, with their Spellsingers and Spellweavers atop them, are proving very potent in melee combat. Bloodletters are taking a commanding lead in the melee grind. The Woody Two Shoes have no answers for this demonic fury, and they will find themselves cut to pieces by the creek bed. Bloodletters are doing a great job here, but they're going to be needed over by the Lord, because that Herald of Slanesh is in dire straits at the moment, and if she crumbles out, leadership for this demonic army will not hold up. But another portal glyph will help keep them in the fight for now. Some additional furies will help a lot against the low armor of the Azrai. Vein of Slanesh to finish off those Starfire Shafts. Both Great Eagles are healthy at the moment, but they may not be so for long, fully surrounded by Chaos Furies, which can munch through the low armor of a Spellsinger quite quickly. Not a good infantry fight for the Plague Bears and Blue Horrors. They should have already been able to break that infantry unit, but they're kind of in a column formation, don't have enough base models in contact, which is a slight mistake there for sure. The Spellsinger on her Great Eagle dropped to about half HP, And the Fleshhounds of Khorne also have a full surround off, and we've seen so many times them munch through single entities from full health, even with a few models, because they just have so much mass and so much weapon strength. It's not going to happen here, I don't think. Another Last Nesh to disrupt those archer formations. Furies are not going to be around for too much longer, but the Acquiescence will slow and lower the melee defense of that Spellsinger, and at least the hero caster for the Wood Elves will break off from the fight for the moment, but might be able to get healed by an Apotheosis. But the Spellweaver saved it for herself. She's like, F you, bitch! I don't care if you get healed or not, you suck! Absolutely no love for her sister in arms, and that might be Shatter City if the... Oh, but the Fleshhounds didn't finish her off, and she might be able to take off into the air. We may see her return yet. I think that was the right call with the Fleshhounds. They just provided the cushion that was needed to protect the Heralds of Slaanesh, who probably would have died to the Great Eagle there. Lost Blessing once again on the Archers, and we will see them return to get some volleys into the scrum. Fleshhounds are crumbling out, but the Bloodletters just got a rear charge off into the Great Eagle, and she is going to try everything she can to snipe out this Herald. If that caster of the Dark Prince dies, this demonic army is going to have serious leadership problems, and we are seeing that Herald crumble out now. This could be exactly what the Azrai need. 300 HP remaining. One more attack should do it. Narcissism to pin her in place, but it won't matter because the Herald could not escape and was crumbling out anyway. Needed to go back into melee, but a good attack roll from the Eagle meant that she is destroyed. And that is going to be a big LD hit for the Demons of Chaos. Spellweaver took a lot of the damage from that fight, though. Narcissism pinned her in place, and she got surrounded by the lesser demons of Khorne and Nurgle, but she will escape. And if her leadership stabilizes in the next couple seconds here, she'll be able to return and cast some more Apotheosis heals and get herself back into the fight. Blue Horrors of Tzeentch out of their Pelem volleys, charging in. Wildwood Rangers making a desperate last stand to give those Starfire Shafts, or rather Hagbane Tips, a little bit more time to fire in. They get a volley to slow down the Blue Horrors, which might allow them to run away and get yet more space. But with the Overshield down and the Great Eagle coming, they may just look to hold the line here and hopefully not take too much damage while the Great Eagle finishes off these Blue Horrors and creates a crumbling, cascading morale effect that perhaps send these demons back into the ether. Big leadership penalties on both sides. We did see the Spellweaver cast another Apotheosis on herself, so that should be about 480, 500 HP. It's a big deal in these kind of scenarios, and we're back to an even balance of power. Can the Great Eagle deal with these Bloodletters of Khorne and the Plague Bearers of Nurgle? Well, she's got more magic, and that will be a Tempest, which again is usually reserved for single entities, but you gotta use your magic however you can at this stage of the battle, and that is causing noticeable carnage amongst those Bloodletters ranks, and they are in danger of crumbling out after that Vortex, slowing everything down. Blue Horrors also disappearing. Plague Bears of Nurgle pushing forth. The entire demonic army is crumbling, and now it's just a race for leadership on both sides. Who crumbles out faster? Who routes faster? The answer is the Spellweaver could not hold on. She's gonna rout, and the demons are going to slither on out of that battle with a win. Barely. That was a crazy ending. Only about 1200 HP or so separating the two sides. Great Stags. One of them, the one that got Narcissism in place, didn't have a great time. Other one got 1400 value, basically on the charge, and with the help of the Great Eagles, they did a lot of damage to those Heralds of Khorne's Fury and Blood Crushers very quickly, and those are elite cavalry, so I definitely want to get another replay with the Great Stags that will show them off in all their glory a little bit more, but they didn't do so horrendously here, considering the situations they were in. And it's always difficult when you're up against the Demons of Chaos or Slaanesh to deal with an army ability like Narcissism. That is insane. Netting a full unit in place and then having 4 or 5 goon up on top of them, like very few monstrous cavalry units can even survive that situation. Not even the Ogre Kingdom's cavalry will usually survive in that kind of scenario. So they did okay. The Spellweavers, the Great Eagles in particular, were amazing for the Wood Elves this game, and the Archer Fire from the Glade Guard did a ton of damage to the Blood Crushers and helped a lot in the center. But I think the MVP has to go to that lowly unit of Bloodletters. With 176 kills, they got around 1,700 damage value. They killed Glade Guard, they killed Wildwood Rangers, and they even got a rear charge off into the Spellweaver on her Great Eagle. And really the reason she was dealing with those morale issues when it came to the late stages of that battle. So crazy ending. Great game to ODM Loopy, who is the mod creator. And I've really been enjoying the battles from this mod. I'm not going to be covering it exclusively for forever on it, obviously, but we've been doing a lot of fun battles with it, and I've been liking a lot of the changes, and we'll be showcasing some more of them soon. Hope you guys enjoyed.